Start sitting comfortably. I forgot to do that. Finding a comfortable seat and making sure you can relax your body, but keep your spine nice and long here. And allowing the eyes to be soft, maybe closed, whatever feels right for you. We're going to start with a little bit of just coming into our body and breathing, slowing down the breath like we usually do. So just drawing in the air all the way down into the pelvis, letting the belly relax, exhaling all the way out. Another big breath. So we feel more relaxed and coming into our body. And then we're just going to do a little short session of a rapid nostril breathing. And this kind of helps to purify the blood. So maybe 30 seconds if you can. And just breathing in and out the nose as quickly as you can or as quickly as is comfortable for you. And then after that, we'll just take a couple of nice, full, long breaths. Okay, so go ahead and just begin. Stop and take a nice full inhale and allow all the air to come out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And another nice full breath. In and out. Letting everything relax. So it's a nice way to invigorate our body, our mind, and also helping to purify our blood. And then let's just bring our arms out from our shoulders and move our spine a little bit. So reaching the arms forward and pulling the spine back and letting your arms reach back as you lift your heart. Just gently moving the spine in this like wave-like motion. You can snake your spine or arch and round, whatever feels good to you, whatever feels good to your spine. As we breathe, and letting our arms come down by our side, we'll go ahead and bring our legs into a long-legged butterfly where I'm already at. You can put a bolster under the legs if you like. And just kind of start to come forward here, allowing your hips and your legs to totally relax. Just letting the hips get a little gentle opening. And our sacrum to get a little stretch. You might like to massage your feet while you're here as well. Give our feet a little bit of a tension, squeezes, and all of those points and a lot of the meridians that start or end in our feet. All of the points to our organs. the soles of our feet. Everything's right there. I'd like our spine to just round and let our head relax if that's comfortable for your neck. Allowing our spine to get a little stretch. My cat is drinking out of my water glass. Hopefully I won't need a drink of water while dipping her paw in there and licking it. So in yin, we come to our edge and continue to breathe fully and naturally. Butterfly is a nice way to begin, so we can just start to go inside. Pretty gentle, easy asana. Of course, if you like, you can always bring your feet closer in towards your hips. Change that stretch, changing the focus of the stretch a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and press yourself up to sitting. Walk to sitting, and we'll just open our legs out into a straddle. So find how wide of a straddle feels comfortable to start with. Making sure the pelvis is upright and not tilted back. If it is tilting back, we might want to sit on a bolster, bringing the hips upright. And then go ahead and let your body relax forward, either arms on the ground or on a bolster. Maybe just a little support to start with. We can always change the straddle as we go, making it wider or narrower. Sometimes this can do a little bit of a pulling on the inside of the knees. So you can always put something underneath your knees or your thighs and support them a little bit. You find that it is pulling there. We come into this body meditation, call it. We just notice what's happening in our body, our mind, and our heart without judging or comparing. Just noticing and allowing whatever is present to be present. I like to liken this to when I used to take care of little children. Was doing that kind of work, and the young ones, especially around 1.5 to 2.5 years old, are exploring their power and their autonomy. And I found the most productive and useful thing I could do was to observe them while they went into their tantrums or they're expressing their feelings on whatever's going on with them. And simply by watching, simply by observing with love, without any judgment, I would watch it magically change before my eyes. This little one would come out the other end of their emotional, whatever they were going through. Okay, so we'll just press ourselves up slowly from here. And you can, if you need to move your legs or lean back, feel free to do so to give your legs a break. But we're just going to turn toward one leg and just whichever leg wants to go first. And just keeping our sits bones rooted, we can relax over that leg. You might like to have a bolster on top of your leg or next to your leg, some kind of support here. Free to change the amount of straddle between your legs as needed. Find as we stretch over or come forward over one leg that get a nice stretch through the opposite hip and side body into that shoulder. If you like to increase that stretch, you can always turn your torso forward and bring your arm up and add a little more stretch if that feels right to you. Feels comfortable for your shoulder, hip. To be careful of our low back when we're coming into a forward fold with a twist, right? Just being mindful of the low back. As always, anytime you need to take a break, come out of a stretch, modify it, or come out of a pose, or modify it, or even do something altogether different, that's fine. Just listening to our body is the main thing. Okay, so we can press ourselves up slowly, just using the hands to come up. We always want to come out of a pose nice and slowly to give our connective tissue a chance to come back, and maybe even stopping and taking a big breath in between, right? And then we'll turn toward our other leg. Start to relax forward there. And feel free to do any movement that you might need to do between the sides. And one side might be different than the other side. So being aware. It's important when doing yin, practicing yin, that we're not going too deeply into a pose from the get-go, as that can cause the muscles to engage, and that's a natural reflex when we come in too quickly, because the muscles will try to protect. They will try to protect the joint or the bone or the ligament or the tendon. So you want to make sure that we are just really coming into the pose gradually and allowing time to, and gravity, of course, to be our guides. Time, not intensity, that we're after. And of course, if you want to bring your arm over your head at any time, you can feel free to do that. It feels right for you. Pulling on that side body stretch a little more, and the waist. This is one way to really stretch the waist area. In this pose, we are really activating and stretching a number of the channels, the low body channels, and some of the upper body channels if we're doing the side stretch with the arm. So into gallbladder and the liver, the kidney, the urinary bladder, the spleen. All those channels are getting stretched in this pose. And while we do stretch the muscles, they kind of go along for the ride. It's really more about stressing. Yin poses are all about stressing the fascia that's, that surrounds the muscle. And it's that stress that is what we're looking for. It nourishes the deeper layers of connective tissue. So all of the deeper layers of fascia and connective tissue, the joints, the ligaments, tendons, the bones, right? We are reaching deep into our bones. People tend to think of the bones as being hard, but they're actually not as hard as we think. They're pretty soft in there if we keep them healthy. Okay, so we can start to slowly press ourselves up from there. In time, and we'll just lean back and bring our legs towards each other and just do whatever feels good to your legs. You might windshield wipe them or bounce them around. Just anything that feels good to your hips and your legs here. It was quite a long time to be in the straddle. And then we'll go into 90-90 on the right side. So bring your right leg in front, left leg out from the hip. Similar to deer pose, but allowing the internal rotation of this left hip. Just kind of breathing into that intense rotation there. And we'll take a little bit of a twist to the right for a few breaths. So bringing the right hand back, lengthening the spine, and just spiral back. And then coming back around to face our right leg, you can start to come forward onto the elbows, or if you want to have a bolster here under your arms. And letting that left leg slide back as much as it's comfortable. Just kind of coming into this pose, feeling that right hip and outer part of the leg. You might like to adjust your foot. Feel free to explore moving the foot closer toward you or keeping it up there. A little different. Coming more into a swan if we bring our foot in. Add a little more compression in the knee. Find what we like to call in yin is the Goldilocks position. The Goldilocks position is the pose, the position that feels just right. Not too little, not too much. Whether it's a compression or a stretch or a twist. If you would like to, you can continue to stay lying down on your leg, or you can use your arms to press the torso up and just add a little bit of a back bend. Feel free to do either that feels right for you. Shifting the focus more in toward to the lumbar area and the pelvis. We press ourselves up. You are up, you might want to come back down over the leg, but feel free to do whatever feels right to you. Always fine to make the asana your own. We do repeat our poses a lot, so when that happens, a tendency can be for the mind to jump in and say they know what's supposed to happen. be a little bit of an interference to what's really going on in the body. Always notice the body feelings. You might notice our breath. It is more about the sensations that are happening in the moment. Each cell in our body has its own consciousness, its own little brain. Science has discovered that each cell has a brain. So each cell of our body has its own consciousness. And that can speak to us when we listen. We'll go ahead and start to press ourselves up slowly from here. So as you bring your torso up, you can slide the left leg up and bring it in. Bring ourselves around, face forward. And do whatever movement feels good to your legs here. Before we go to the other side. Blood flowing. And then we can bring our left leg forward. And starting with just allowing this right hip to relax. Internal rotation there, pretty intense. And then we'll take a twist to the left. So just lengthening the spine and bringing our hands behind us. Taking a few breaths here. And then coming around to face our left leg, and we can come forward onto our elbows or onto a bolster. Maybe starting on your forearms and then eventually lying down. We can also straighten our right leg back as much as it wants to go. It's finding our pose on this side. And feel free to explore whether that leg wants to stay in a 90-degree angle or it wants to come in closer towards your hip. The knee needs a little more compression. You can also shift your weight more onto the leg or stay off of the leg. Many variations. these long held hip stretches like this one that are really beneficial for our sacrum, our iliosacral joint, our hips, of course, that deep stretch through the IT band and the lateral hip. If you feel like you'd like to press your torso up and come into the upright position, you can do that, or continue just to lie down on your leg if you want. Whatever feels right here. Maybe coming back down over that leg for a little while longer if you are up in a lifted position. Although practicing yin and giving this beautiful time and space to ourselves and our bodies. And it's so valuable, so important in these intensifying times that we're in. The sun is, our sun is extremely, very active right now. There's a lot of intensity just on the sun. So that's going to affect, of course, all of the solar system. And it can really be good in a lot of ways, in the sense of bringing awarenesses and downloads and all kinds of epiphanies and wonderful shifts in consciousness. And it can also be a little bit challenging because of the intensity of and the frequency changes. So it's really important that we have practices to restore, rejuvenate, and protect our well-being, such as yin. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to come up slowly. And as you bring the torso up, you can slide the leg up. Right leg up and slowly come around. And also we might get a little lightheaded, like I am. Give your legs some movement. Whatever feels good to you. Maybe bring your hands behind the hips and maybe lift the hips a few times, up and down as we breathe. Helps the circulation come back into the legs. And then we'll come onto our belly into Sphinx for a bit. So you might have folded a blanket or a pillow with you, and just bring your elbows underneath the shoulders. You can let your body do a little rocking around, maybe gently side to side. Let the pelvis relax. You might like to lift the head and get a little stretch in the front of the neck, a little compression in the back of the neck, or just let your head move around. Feels good for your head and neck. Rest your head on your hands if you need a little support. We can also lift our feet if we want to add a little more compression to the low back or stretch to the front of the legs and hips. So nourishing for the kidneys, our kidney channel. So we'll go ahead and bring ourselves into seal if you want to, or you can stay in Sphinx if you prefer. But increasing the compression in the low back if you'd like by coming into seal. Bringing our arms a little bit apart, fingers pointed out a little ways, more like a seal. And bring your arms closer to your body or have them farther away, depending on how that feels in your back and in your shoulders. So feel free to do any of the variations of Sphinx or seal. Put a pillow under the pelvis and seal as well. So we'll just take a little break in half frog. You can choose whichever side you want to do one side and just slide the knee up toward the shoulder. Relax your head on your hands, on your arms. Cat's doing her favorite yin pose here. Okay, we can go ahead and slide that leg back and we'll make our way up onto our all fours if you're able to. If not, you can find a different position and we'll move our spine gently by rounding the low back, tailbone curling under. You might like to press your hips back toward your heels and lift up and arch the spine. So just gently moving back and forth between rounding, arching of our spine. We can circle our hips in one direction, allowing everything to kind of go where it wants to. Circles one direction and then the other direction. And then sitting back to our heels for a child's pose for a moment. And if you need to come onto your back, you can just do a happy baby kind of pose instead, if that's better for you. You can maybe stretch our arms out and feel a little stretch under the shoulders. Comfortable. Child's pose is a great way to get a nice little bit of compression in the knees and the hips. Stretch through the sacrum and the hips. A lot of things going on in child's pose. Good things happening. Okay, so let's go ahead and come up from there and bring ourselves onto our back. Unless you're already on your back, you can stay there. And just start by hugging the knees in toward your chest. Cat's figured out that I'm going to be on the floor and I can pet her while I'm down here. And just hug the knees in and rock the body around. You might like to stir the legs by holding on to one knee with each hand and just gently stirring, letting your hips relax and release. And then we'll put our left foot on the ground and straighten your right leg to the ceiling. You might want to have a bolster or two on your left side, And you can just grab hold of this right leg and let your left knee open out to the side. Give this leg a little stretch. And we'll guide our leg across the body. If you can keep it straight for a while and get that nice stretch through the hip, great, but feel free to bend your knee if you prefer. And extending our right arm out from our right shoulder to come into a twist. Making sure that right leg is supported somehow. Again, you feel free to bend your knee and just let your body relax at any time. If we have our legs straight, get that another deep stretch through the outer lateral hip area and along the outside of the leg. We might use our right hand to guide our right leg back up onto our back. And change your bolsters if you have them. Hug the knees in. And bringing our right foot on the ground. Straightening the left leg. The ceiling and giving that leg a stretch, letting your right knee just drop open to the right here. And then we can guide the leg over across the body. You might need a little shifting of your hips. Extending the left arm out from our shoulder, left shoulder. And again, if you want to keep that leg straight for a while, but feel free to let the knee bend and relax at any time. Depending on whether you want a little more stretch through that hip and leg. So just allowing our breath to be nice and full and even and natural, not forced. Twists are so beneficial to the nervous system and to the spine, helping to bring those things back into balance at the end of our practice. Recalibrate the nervous system. Twists are always so relaxing. Sometimes people fall asleep in a twist, and that's totally fine if you do. So you can feel free to stay in the twist a little longer if that feels right for you, or to slowly come out onto your back. And just doing any movement that feels good to your body. You want to hug your knees or rock the body around a bit, or you might put your feet on the mat. But find a comfortable position to relax and breathe for a moment so that we can integrate. So important after an hour of yin to find a little space to integrate. So finding the position where your body can totally relax and breathe and just feel, see how you feel. Notice how your breath is. Notice the mind. Feeling your nice, deep, slow breath circulating the energy through your body, through the channels. And here's a nice Pisces quote that I found. At least I think it's a good quote for Pisces season. You don't have to move mountains. Simply fall in love with life. Be a tornado of love, gratitude, and acceptance. You will change the world just by being a warm, kind-hearted human being. Anita Krizan said that. And just giving thanks to your body, thanks to your breath, gratitude to the Mother Earth that we walk upon, and anything else that you'd like to give gratitude to.
Thanks.
And thank you all for coming.
I'm grateful for your class, Deb.
Oh, I'm grateful for you.
Have a good day.
Well.